Hi, my name is Carly Cat from Cat Editing, and I will be talking to you guys about hiring editors, types of editors, everything you need to know about editing. So first, let's talk about the types of editing. There are three types of editing: developmental, line, and copy editing, and you want to do them in that order. So let's start with developmental editing. This one is done before line and copy editing and after self-editing is done. This one's going to be looking at really big picture things: the organization, the flow, the logic, the structure of it. Do you have a clear audience? Are you speaking to them so that they'll understand? What's the goal of the book? Is it meeting the goal? What's the purpose? Is it fulfilling this purpose? Looking at some writing technique kinds of things. Are the concepts explained well? Are giant chunks of the book missing? Do we need to add a lot more in? That kind of thing. So it's going to be really, really big changes, an overall view of the book. Next is line editing. This one's done before copy editing and after developmental editing is done. This one, if you zoom in a little bit closer to the details, you're going to be looking at the flow, transitions. Does it make sense? Is it clear? Is there a better way to say this? The sentence length, flow, and rhythm. Clarity, word choice, point of view, perspective, intent, mood, voice tone, all those kinds of things. You're just going to be zooming in a little bit closer, making sure it makes sense. Am I saying this the best way possible? After that is copy editing. This one's done before the book is formatted, but after line editing and developmental editing is done. So this is going to be basically what you think editing is. It's going to be grammar, punctuation, spelling, agreement, parallelism, active voice, making sure fewest words are used. You want to use the fewest words possible to get across the same message, but you don't want a lot of words if possible. So copy editing is going to be cutting some of that out, making sure it's concise, it still makes sense. There's going to be some overlap between the types of editing, but copy editing is going to be looking at the details a little bit more. So what about proofreading? Proofreading comes after, and it's confused with editing quite a bit. So let's talk about that. Proofreading is done after editors have already worked on the book. Editors are totally done, and the book is already formatted. So the book should be formatted before it does proofreading. And that is because proofreading is just for the last minute touch-ups. It says punctuation, grammar, spelling, and symbol formatting, which is included in copy editing, but proofreading just double checks the editors. Did they miss anything? Also checking the formatter. Are any words cut off, or is the picture covering a word or something like that? So proofreading is just going to be touching up. It is really important though, so I would not skip this step, but do it after all formatting is done. Do it after all editing is done and formatting is done. Because proofreading does not replace editing. It's different, and it's just going to be kind of skim the top, make sure that nothing is glaring. So how do you know what types of editing you need? Every book may not need every type of editing, and if you have a tighter budget, you may not be able to afford all types of editing, so got to prioritize. So how do you know? Look at your strengths, look at your weaknesses, and what kinds of things you have questions about in your book. Are you sure that it is structured well? Are you maybe worried about the logic of it and the flow of it? Maybe should these chapters be combined or rearranged? Or are you speaking to your audience well? Is your audience clear? Do you know exactly who you're talking to, and are you speaking to them well? All books will probably need copy editing, but you may not need developmental editing necessarily. It is recommended, but it depends on the person, so it's totally up to you. So how to find the right editor for you? So start with reviewing the editor's probably website if they have one, the social media if they have anything like that. Look at any past reviews that they have from previous clients. See what kinds of books they've worked on before. If you are doing a business self-help book, probably don't want to hire a romance fiction editor because they're just not going to be as familiar with the genre. So I would definitely hire someone who is familiar with the genre and has past reviews from clients that touch on things you're worried about. For example, if you're really worried that the editor isn't going to communicate well with you, or you really want it to be a hands-on type of thing, a lot of collaboration, a lot of back and forth. Then you can look at the reviews and see if they touch on that kind of thing. So that'd be really helpful in knowing if the editor is right for you, if their style is right for you. Another thing you can do, ask for a sample edit, and definitely you want to ask for a quote, obviously. But a sample edit can be really helpful as well to see kind of how the process works. It's kind of a practice run of how's this going to go, what's communication like, what does the document look like when you get it back, what are their comments going to sound like? Is it going to have links to reference or resources and helpful information and tips, or a few comments and just changes? And which one do you prefer? So you want to look at that. Sample edits can be really helpful. Finding quotes. I mean, a budget is going to be a really big factor for a lot of people probably, so you don't want to ignore that. And then last thing is to compare these things with other editors. If you can compare quotes and sample edits with other editors, that can help you make a good decision too. How to prepare for editing. Make sure to have all the chapters in one document. You don't want to have them all spread out. The editor's not going to want to deal with that. It's going to be confusing. Things are going to get lost. Get it all into one document. Microsoft Word is definitely best for most editors. I know use Microsoft Word. Some will do Google Docs. For proofreading, PDF is probably okay, but Microsoft Word is definitely number one, best if possible. And get rid of any track changes that are on the document unless they're for the editor. You don't want to have the editor going through things that are already there. It's going to take more time, cost more of your money. Just clear them up. Don't worry too much about formatting. Just make it look clean, nice. If you go back to high school papers that you had to turn in, MLA format or whatever, or just Times New Roman, double space, 12-point font, that kind of thing. Just make it look nice and clean, and it'll be easier for the editor to go through those things, to go through the document. While they're editing, if you think of other things that you want to do while they have the document, other things you want to change in the book, don't put it in your document, because then you're going to have to merge the files with your document, and the one that they send you is just going to be a big mess. So don't do that. Better idea is to just make a list. Make a list of all the things that you want to change, and you can implement those as soon as you get the document back. And it's a lot easier. Another thing is to work on the book blurb and author bio while they have it. If you haven't written already, that's a good time to write it. The book blurb is just a little summary on the back of the book, and the author bio normally goes at the back of the book. So getting those done at that time can be really helpful, because those would be marketing materials, and you probably need those for your cover design, which is happening at the same time as editing. And editors will sometimes edit those both for you if you send them to them before they finish editing. Final tips: don't wait too long. Don't wait too long to contact editors. They're normally booked up about a month or so, so definitely don't wait too long, because you don't want your budget to be, your deadline to be pushed too far. And lastly, don't be afraid to speak up. If you don't agree with something, say so. It's okay. You're self-publishing, so you own all the rights, and you're allowed to do whatever you want. If you hire an editor and then accept none of their changes, you're allowed to do that. So do I recommend it? No, but you could do that. So definitely, if you feel strongly about something, or if you're confused about something, ask or say no. For more tips on self-publishing, you can check out my blog. That's my website there, www.catediting.com. There's a little blog tab you can click. It has a lot more tips about how to self-publish. Goes into a lot more depth about all the things that I've been talking about already. So thank you for watching this video. I hope it was really helpful. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me. Thanks.